Hello everyone and welcome to the second video on the review series. Remember, this is a short video intended to help you review the grammar topics in your preparation for the final exam. As you remember, due to time constraints, we cannot have so much time for reviewing everything. So the grammar topics will be reviewed in this way, with the form of video. There is also a PDF on the community. You can access it now. And you will find a written review of all the grammar topics with some examples as well. These are short videos just for you to remember a little bit more um, lively, maybe, the grammar uh, topics of the unit. In this case, it's Unit 7, and we are looking at the passive voice. The passive voice is actually a very simple and interesting topic. At the beginning, it may look like it's too difficult, but let me tell you, it's not really difficult. Once you get the idea of how the structure works, everything is easy peasy. Well, let's look at this. So, saying things in two ways. The passive voice is just another way to say the same thing, but with some changes. In English, we usually speak or write in active voice, which follows the usual structure of subject, verb, object. No big deal. In the passive voice, there are some changes in the structure. Number one, the object takes the place of the subject and vice versa. What does that mean? It means that you take the subject and the object of the sentence and you exchange them from place. Number two, a verb to be is placed between the new subject and the action verb. Now, since the object of the sentence becomes the subject, well, this is the new subject of the sentence. And after that subject, you have to write a verb to be. And number three, the action verb takes the past participle form. This is a very important thing. In all kinds of passive voice, the action verb that follows the verb to be will always take the past participle form. Okay, so remember, first you change subject and object from places. Then you add a verb to be, and then the action verb takes the past participle form. Very simple. Let's look at how the sentences work, how they go from active to passive. In the active voice, we have the state trains police officers, people speak Portuguese in Brazil, the professor wrote a new article, England conquered many territories. Well, if you see, from active to passive, these are the changes. The state trains police officers. Now, police officers are trained by the state. Very simple. People speak Portuguese in Brazil. Portuguese is spoken in Brazil. The professor wrote a new article. A new article was written by the professor. England conquered many territories. Many territories were conquered by England. So, if you notice, these are the main changes. First, we have the state trains police officers. We have the subject, the verb, and the object. But that is active voice. In the passive voice, police officers now take the place of the subject. Now, police officers is the subject. And then we have the verb to be I mentioned. And then the action verb, which was trains, becomes trained, the past participle form of train, by the state. The professor wrote a new article. If you notice in the first example, the state trains police officers, this is the simple present. In the example of the professor wrote a new article, this is in the simple past. So these are the changes. The main change is in the verb to be. In the first case is simple present, and in this case is simple past. The professor wrote a new article. A new article was written by the professor. But let's look at some notes, because some notes are needed. So the passive voice can be used with different tenses, which will be reflected in the verb to be, as I just mentioned. In the particular case of this unit, the verb to be will take the simple present, is, are, and simple past, was, were forms. And the passive voice is often used to report news, talk about inventions, or historical events. So this is the way in which we use the passive voice. And you may ask, teacher, are we going to use the passive voice very often in real life? Well, that depends on you. It depends on the situation or the context in which you are talking. For example, if you are required to report news or maybe talk about historical events or talk about inventions, like the last topic we look at, well, yes, you will have to use the passive voice. It is just another way to say the same thing, as I mentioned before, but it's a little bit different, and it requires to keep in mind the changes I just mentioned. First, change the subject-object positions, then the verb to be. It can be simple present, simple past, or maybe other tenses. And the action verb takes the form of the past participle. So I think there is nothing else I can tell you about it. Yeah, this is the end of the presentation. Again, I hope you found this presentation useful, and you may watch the video as many times as you wish. If you have any comments to make, please just let me know. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye.